Hello, everyone. It is February 10th, 2021 today. I'm Reverend Cole from Selkirk United Church, and I'm here with another midweek message. I want to talk about hope and joy today. That might seem like an interesting topic in the middle of a pandemic when there are so many things happening in the world and in our lives that seem to rob us of our hope and our joy. But even in the midst of these trying times and these challenging times, I see hope and I feel joy. Not every moment of every day, don't get me wrong, I'm not living in a dream world. But I believe that no matter what is happening around us or even to us, I believe in a world in which God provides moments of joy for us, sends us moments of joy regularly, and gives us hope for the present and the future. We might see them, these moments, and I suppose we might miss them too. It might depend on whether we're ready for them, or whether or not we're open to receive them, whether or not we have our eyes open for them. Anyway, I was thinking about this just yesterday when some of us gathered together for our weekly sacrilegion gathering on Zoom. And the reason I was thinking about it during that hour was because there was a lot of laughter during our session yesterday, and a lot of smiles, a lot of joy. And it was really good to be part of that. That gave me a lot of hope. And it just felt really good. I can't even really tell you why there was all of that laughter and smiling and joy. That wasn't our topic for the day, humor. I think it was just that's what can happen when people get together, even online, enjoying each other's company, enjoying some human interaction, and the little moments of fun and joking that can accompany those times together. That happened yesterday, and I was grateful for it. And then later in the day, I was reading through our United Church's national magazine, Broadview, and these same topics of hope and joy kept coming up as I browsed through, and I knew that I needed to focus on this today. Right near the beginning of the magazine, one of the first pages was a letter from the editor, Jocelyn Bell. It was entitled, Hopeful New Year. She talked about the joy she felt way back on New Year's Eve 2019, that's 14 months ago now, and then she talked a bit about all the turmoil that has happened since that time. And even though she categorized the year 2020 as a train wreck, she talked about the hope she has for the future. Part of her hope comes from the idea, her belief, that we can actively create a more positive narrative for the future and produce a better world, that those things are in our hands, and that with God's help we are given the task of bringing about that kind of positive change in the world. She's hopeful about that, and so am I. Bell then pointed to two articles in particular in the latest edition of Broadview that focus on hope and joy. The first article she pointed to was an interview with a poet, Ross Gay, who not only writes poetry and has won awards for his books, but also teaches at Indiana University. Gay says that joy is his subject. He says that he doesn't mean joy as in just happiness, but a connection to one another that also includes expressions of tenderness and care, and a connection to the earth and all that is as well. One of Gay's books is entitled The Book of Delights. So the interviewer asked Gay if he ever feels pressure to be the delights guy. Here's Gay's response to that. He said, I do sometimes feel that people are misreading my work as being joy, joy, happy, happy. And maybe when you call something the Book of Delights, well, all right, you might set that up a little bit. But as soon as you start reading that book, it's very clear that I am contemplating delight and joy as a practice that envisions worlds that we need to get to that are not often here. It sounds to me like he's talking about creating our joy by living in a way that lifts ourselves up and lifts up other people. I like that idea. Working toward a world that is not quite yet here, but with our help and God's help, maybe we can attain it together. Gay's poems aren't just rainbows and butterflies and fluff, not at all. They're actually challenges to not only find joy in the world around us, but to also challenge the injustices that exist in the world, and to bring about joy by eliminating injustice and making the world a better place as we go. Sounds like a very inspiring man. Lots of hope there. The second article that Jocelyn Bell points to is right near the back of the magazine, a very brief little interview. The subject is a former track and field athlete, Canadian Roland Achiampong. His is a fascinating story. He was running a sports mentorship company when he met Denise Wild, a sewing studio entrepreneur. They married each other and their businesses to create a mentorship program through sewing. Roland says that there's a stereotype that sewing is only what old ladies do. He said, I thought if I can combine that sports component, the high energy, feeling part of the team, the excitement, and bring in amazing mentors, the majority of whom are men, to come and teach sewing, this could be something that resonates with children. He says it this way. The majority of the kids we teach haven't touched a sewing machine before. When they walk into the room, they're a little unsure, but by the time they leave the class, they are beaming. There are kids as young as 4 in the program, and they make hand puppets, each with a special character trait like kindness, forgiveness, confidence, or self-respect. For the older ones, they usually make cell phone holders or superhero bands that have magic powers like confidence or bravery. As I read that story, I just thought it was a really neat story, and it gave me hope and put a smile on my face to think about this. I'll show a picture of him here, about this big muscular athlete helping to teach young kids to sew. That's got to be good for the world. Here he is with his sewing machine. Going back to editor Jocelyn Bell's article, she ended on a positive note by talking about the Lord's Prayer. She said, I think one of the most hopeful phrases in Christianity is, Thy kingdom come. Christians interpret this part of the Lord's Prayer in many ways. I've always taken it as a call to establish on earth a world that is as equitable, just, and good as a loving God intended it. She says, uttering Thy kingdom come helps me orient myself toward justice, to keep believing that paradise on earth is possible. Most importantly, it reminds me to keep hoping. She says, whatever else we resolve to do in 2021, let's resolve to have hope, to embody hope. And I would add to that, let's also resolve to find joy and to create joy. It's not only possible, it's probable, as long as we keep working together for good and keep living as God would have us live. I predict there will be plenty of joy and plenty of hope ahead for all of us. Thanks for tuning in today. I'll see you next time.